Hey everybody, welcome to TIW Podcast. I'm Eric, and today I watched WWE Monday Night Raw episode 1369, broadcast on August 19th, 2019. This is a pretty good episode. I enjoyed it. Lots of stuff happened this week. Oh my gosh. A whole lot of stuff happened this week, and they didn't even get to the huge announcement. I'm recording this the next day, that they posted on Twitter, and everybody's talking about it. Like, everybody from WWE is talking about it, and as a result, like, most people are responding to all those tweets and everything, that NXT, starting September 18th, 2019, NXT will be live on the USA Network, every Wednesday, and it's expanding to 2 hours, which makes sense for to do a live, to like have all that set up and everything to, you know, utilize it as much as you can and that kind of thing. I don't know. There's a lot of pessimism, I feel like, on the topic. I am feeling really optimistic about it. I'm really excited for the possibilities. On one hand, I'm sad that this might mean that 205 Live is coming to an end. But if they become part of NXT, if the Cruiserweight division is a part of NXT, this weekly show, then that could be pretty awesome. We could get more of the NXT guys in the mix going after the Cruiserweight Championship, and get more of the Cruiserweights involved going after like the North American Championship and the Tag Team Championships and stuff like that. It could be pretty awesome just from that aspect of it alone. Plus, you have there's been talks about how some of the people who aren't doing all that much on the main roster, that they could come over to NXT and do some stories and stuff like that. That'd be really cool too, like Breezango has been doing recently. And I'm pretty excited for it. I'm curious how it will work as far as where they're going to film it and all that kind of thing. If they're going to go on tour, all of that, but I'm sure we'll find out all of those things in the near future. When I found out about this, I went on the site to see if they had posted like the new events and stuff like that, but they haven't posted anything specifically for the NXT live shows yet. But I expect they will very, very soon, because that first show is in just 4 weeks. That first live show. So we'll see if they do it at Full Sail. If they do it, I think that day was probably already. No, I think it was the week before would have been when they were when they would have taped the next batch of shows. September 11th, I think, would have been when they would do that. But now they're going live that following week. So we'll see what happens. I am excited, and it's an exciting time for sure. I'm really happy for all of the talent in NXT, that they are getting a bigger platform here. And yeah, it seems like they are all very excited from all the posts I've seen, and the hype for it has already created some really funny things. Like Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish have a really funny Instagram video talking about it. And yeah, I'm just excited. I'm excited. I think it's going to be really, really fun. Unfortunately, I probably won't be able to. Well, you know, I'll try to the first couple of weeks anyway. But I don't think I'll be able to watch it as it airs. Well, maybe I will now that it's live. I don't know. But it's on at the same time as AEW show that will start 2 weeks later. Yes, 2 weeks later on October 2nd. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think personally I would watch, I feel like I'm more likely to watch NXT live as it airs, and then record AEW to watch later to check out. But because I'll probably watch AEW live the first week that it's on there. Yeah, so having them not start the same week, that is a kind of a nice thing as far as being able to watch the first show of either one of them live. But anyway, so that's my thoughts on it. I'm excited for it. And I think there's a huge amount of potential there, even just from, and then I think it's even more likely now that we get to see the women's tag team championships over on that show. Also, they could, I don't know, just go over there and take on Aaliyah and Vanessa Bourne like 1 week. Like, it doesn't have to be somebody that we think can win it off of them, but just to see more of that, and just, Alexa Bliss back at NXT. Assuming it happens when Alexa and Nikki Cross also back at NXT. I think there's a lot of potentially fun, exciting, and entertaining stuff that can happen there. All right, so let's go back in time before this was announced. The rumors were going all day during the day on Monday, and it was thought that it would be announced on Raw, but that ended up not happening. But I was fine with that because a lot of the stuff that did happen on Raw was pretty good. We opened up with Roman Reigns. It's been a little while since we've had Roman's entrance music start the show. It's only happened like twice since I made the joke while attending Raw in San Jose that the opening, the theme music for Monday Night Raw is actually Roman Reigns' theme song. But anyway, Roman comes out and Dolph Ziggler comes out. They have an argument, and we have Roman Reigns versus Dolph Ziggler, and Roman Reigns wins via a spear. Roman was kind of fighting from underneath this whole match because Dolph snuck in a super kick while he was doing his whole "it should have been me" thing. But yeah, it was good, and it was tying it together with getting speared by Goldberg. He also gets speared by Roman Reigns. Becky has a great promo where she's very mad at Sasha Banks and saying basically, the only reason people are talking about you is because you came after me, and I made you, I made you the talk of the town or whatever. We had a King's Court that was going to have Sasha as the guest, but as Jerry Lawler was talking about, he was on commentary up to this point. As Jerry was talking about King of the Ring and his picks for it, the lights all shut down and the Fiend appeared. Jerry's like, I'm getting out of here. I've seen what happened. He actually says like, oh, I've seen this before, and he just gets the heck out of there. But the Fiend heads him off at the entranceway, and he gets murdered. The mandible claw right to the face. And so the rest of the episode, the third, Corey Graves is on, they say he was on vacation, but I have to imagine he's probably on, I don't know, maybe he is actually on vacation because Carmelo wasn't on this episode with R-Truth. But anyway, he may have been, because they're shooting a movie that he was gone from SmackDown a couple of weeks ago. I thought maybe that's actually what he's doing, but they would have actually said that if he was shooting a movie. I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Whatever. Corey Graves is gone, so Jerry the King Lawler was in his place at the beginning of the show, but then he got killed by the Fiend, and Vic Joseph took his place for the rest of the show, and he did a fantastic job. Vic Joseph is great. He's consistently excellent on 205 Live and NXT UK. I don't say that, and I every now and I feel like every now and then I mention that he's awesome. Like the whole commentary team on both of the shows is awesome, but even more, I gotta re-emphasize it now that his work on commentary on this episode of Raw was great. And he would fit right in there. He could. I have no doubt at all that he could just join the team week to week and just be nails every time. So awesome, Vic Joseph. Then we had Ricochet and The Miz team up against Baron Corbin and Drew McIntyre. These are opponents for next week's King of the Ring matches. Ricochet. I wrote his name just as Rick. Ricochet will be facing Ricochet will be facing McIntyre next week, and The Miz will be facing Baron Corbin. In this match, Ricochet pinned Baron Corbin to get the win. So it's not a real indicator, not exactly an indicator of what might go down next week. So we'll see what happens there, since it was opposite matchups. But that could be the matchup the following week. If Baron Corbin pins, if Baron Corbin beats Miz and Ricochet beats McIntyre, then that could be the matchup that happens the following week. So we'll see what happens with all of that. Otherwise, it would be Ricochet versus The Miz, or Drew McIntyre versus The Miz, or yeah. Anyway, I'm excited for the rounds next week, because the matches this week were pretty great too. Braun Strowman versus AJ Styles for the United States Championships. There's disqualification when the OC attacked Braun. Seth came out and helped. He came to the rescue, and let's see. And then backstage, Seth is saying, "Hey, I want to get back at these guys. I'm gonna make this happen. Let's get together and go after the tag team titles tonight. We're gonna fight Karl Anderson and Luke Gallows for the championship." So that ends up being the main event, and I'll get to that in just a minute. We had Samoa Joe versus Cesaro in a first round King of the Ring match. I was really rooting for Cesaro, but on my King of the Ring bracket, I chose Joe. So I was both sad that Cesaro lost, but also glad that Joe won, because my bracket, it means nothing. I'm not going to get anything. I didn't enter a contest or anything like that. Actually, I did enter into the Reddit Pick'em contest. So I'm 100%. I'm out of the two matches so far, I've nailed it. But I'll get to the other match in just a second. But Samoa Joe won via Coquina Clutch, but Cesaro looked pretty great in this match, as he always does anyway. Elias comes out for his farewell performance, but there's static that keeps on happening. There's problems with his gear. His guitar is completely untuned, and it turns out his roadie is R-Truth. And a referee is also disguised as one of the roadies, and he attempts to steal the championship from Elias, but Elias is just too strong. He kicks out both times, and he runs away. Actually, he narrowly avoids R-Truth swinging a guitar very, very hard. He swung that thing like he was gonna. I don't even know why we would swing anything that hard, unless you're trying to kill somebody with a guitar. I don't know. Up next, we had Rey Mysterio backstage. He's saying his body just isn't responding to his mind, what his mind is envisioning for him to do anymore, and that it's about time he hangs his mask up. But Dominic comes in as he's about to take off his mask and be done with wrestling. Dominic comes over, his son, and says, "No, don't do this. He said that when I debut, we're going to be a team," and all that kind of thing. So he convinces Rey to stick around. And the all kinds of possibilities going forward from here. I'm excited to see what happens, because Andrade is definitely going to have a hand in whatever is going on. Then we had the New Day arrive. Big E and Xavier Woods fight the Revival. The match ends in disqualification win. Randy Orton hits an RKO out of nowhere. Disqualification hits a bunch of more RKOs, including an RKO out of a pop-up from Scott and Dash. And it's the same setup as for ShatteRKO Machine. So that combo has to be called. It's a ShatteRKO Machine, except instead of the code breaker, face, whatever you call it, face buster or whatever the non-Jericho branded name of that move is, it pops up into an RKO. That has to be called the ShatteRKO Machine. With a capital R at the end of Shatter. The ShatteRKO Machine. That's got to be the name of that move. It must be the name of that move. They did start using the FTRKO as their hashtag, talking about this trio, and although I know that they didn't get it from me. I feel like I was one of the first people to tweet that, because you could see in the replies from just a couple of days ago, because I tweeted that the night it was happening, but it was a couple of days ago. I think it was Dash Wilder in response to a tweet, or maybe it was Scott. I don't remember. One of them. Oh, he's like, oh, I can't believe I missed that. When somebody else said in response to his tweet, he said, oh, you mean FDRKO? Because he had hashtag FTR and RKO separately in that post, and now they're all using FDRKO as the hashtag. So anyway, it's got to be a ShatteRKO Machine. That has to be what it's called. Please call it that and do it all the time. Just do it to everybody. It's amazing. Shatter Machine is in the top 3 tag team finishers in my opinion, and add the RKO into there, and it's like, how can you even argue that it's not the best finisher? It's awesome. But anyway, Randy makes Kofi comes in and tries to make the save, but he gets beaten up also, and Randy makes him watch as they murder Xavier's knee. I use the word murder a lot, but they just obliterate Xavier's knee, and he is just howling in pain. You don't hear anybody make those noises on WWE shows often, if ever. So it was visceral. Let's see. Oh, Sasha, she has an interview conducted by Michael Cole instead. She's backstage, so there's a little bit less risk of the Fiend attacking anybody. But he asked her, address what you did last week, what everybody's talking about. And she's like, oh, I was just looking in the mirror and said, oh, blue is your color. And now everybody's talking about my hair. That's so great, and all that kind of thing. I really enjoyed that. And then Michael Cole's like, no, nobody's talking about your hair. Shut up. Maybe why did you attack Natalya and Becky Lynch? And then Sasha just says, you're welcome. And I liked that quite a bit. Up next, we had Mickey and Alexa versus Fire and Desire, Sonya Deville, and Mandy Rose. Nikki won the match after hitting the it was like a cross neck breaker or something on Sonya Deville. So okay, it would be nice to just have the Iconics if they still had the championships, if they were just on the show every week. But that didn't happen for whatever reason. It would be really awesome if Kabuki Warriors were on the show every week and they were champions. But that didn't happen. But Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, since they've been champions, and even before that, I mean, way before they became champions, they were both on TV and oftentimes on both shows every week. And now to have the championship on every week and have a women's tag team match every week, I think that's a really good thing, at least so far. But of course, the argument is like they could have been doing that with whoever has the championships. It didn't have to be them winning the championships for that to happen. And that is a very fair argument. But because they are champions and that is what's happening, I feel like it's better to enjoy the good things about that than to complain that the other stuff didn't happen before or yet. Or yeah. Anyway. So I was happy to see them have a match. Although on the downside, this was the only women's match on this whole episode. So yeah, I think they're the only. Yeah, all the other women's segments were backstage, like interviews, promos, and then like a backstage thing with between Natalya was doing a promo backstage, and then Sasha attacks her in there and smashes her arm into one of the gig box's drawers. That was pretty cool, I thought. And it was she says, "Go to hell and tell your dad I said hi," or something like that. That's a pretty good line. Yeah, it was a pretty good line for a heel to say. We had another. I skipped forward to talk about that. Before that, we had another first round King of the Ring match: Cedric Alexander versus Sami Zayn. And I was rooting for Cedric in this one. I also picked him on my bracket, so double encouragement on my side of things. And it paid off. Cedric Alexander hit the lumbar check on Sami Zayn, and he advances in the tournament. So next time he will face... Oh, no, I'm wrong. It wouldn't be... That's not how the bracket is set up, what I was talking about before. It could be that... Because Cedric will face either The Miz or Baron Corbin. And Ricochet will, if he wins, he'll face Samoa Joe. But the round after that could be Ricochet versus Baron Corbin, which I have written on my bracket. So Cedric Alexander will go on to face either The Miz or Baron Corbin, and I think it makes sense for Baron to win that match. However he wins it, I don't know. But yeah, that's how I talked through the bracket why I chose what I did, because basically I was working towards Ricochet versus Andrade as the final. But we'll see what happens with all of that stuff. Then our main event: Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman team up to take on Karl Anderson and Luke Gallows for the Raw Tag Team Championships. Seth kicked out of the Magic Killer. I think that's really the only problem I had with this match, is that Magic Killer is supposed to be another extremely good tag team maneuver. Up there with Shatter Machine as like the collider, super collider and stuff like that. But Seth Rollins kicks out of it, and they end up winning the match. There's a lot of stuff that happened after he kicked out Magic Killer. But Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman become the Raw Tag Team Champions. And Braun, this whole time, he wants to fight Seth for the Universal Championship. So it'll be a little bit interesting, at least, to watch. And it's only a couple of weeks until Clash of Champions. How do you make Clash of Champions interesting? By changing some things up, because we didn't have any title changes at SummerSlam, and there are some titles and matchups that will end up at Survivor Series that we want with the current configuration before this happened. And I feel like it makes sense to mix things up a little bit, and then they can get back to that state by the time we get to Survivor Series or something like that. So I'm not too bothered by it. Plus the stomp that Seth delivered to AJ Styles as he was trying to get in there to break up the pinfall. Cause I think it was Braun it was Braun who pinned, Karl Anderson to get the win. AJ was trying to get in there, and Seth just comes in and just stomps AJ right into the mat. And that's one of my favorite instances of Seth Rollins' stomp that I've seen. It was pretty badass. So I don't know. I'm excited to see where things go for this. If it makes for Clash of Champions to be a more interesting night than just a bunch of straight up championship matches, because that's what it would be if there wasn't like a weird configuration of titles. And another thing would be. That would be interesting, like Seth and Braun having to do a double duty if they have to do a championship match defending the tag championships and then fight each other later for the Universal Championship. That would make that pretty interesting. And then if it's the New Day versus FTRKO as a winner take all match, a 6-man tag team match for the WWE title and the tag team championships. That would be really cool too, and that seems like it makes the most sense. So I'll be a little bit disappointed if that doesn't happen, and it condenses some of the matches because there's so many championships that condenses some of the matches so that it's not as many different matches for the whole night to cover everything, all of the championships, and yeah, I don't even, and there or opens up slots for one or two matches that are not championship matches, as long as all the championship matches are on there, because there weren't any tag title matches at SummerSlam. Keep forgetting about that. But anyway, that covers everything from this week's episode of Raw. I'm excited for tonight's SmackDown and 205 Live. We're going to have an epic main event in 205 Live, 5-on-5 Captain's Challenge with Oney Lorcan and Drew Gulak having chosen their teams. I forget exactly who's on all the teams, but a surprise pick, the final pick from Drew Gulak, I remember, is Tony Nese. So we'll see if it actually comes down to him saying, hey, like refusing to actually fight on Drew's behalf or not, or what will happen there. It'll be interesting. And I don't know if that'll be like the entire episode, or if we'll have some other stuff going on in the rest of the episode. I don't know. I'm really excited about that. If they do have any addressing more about the NXT deal, that'd be cool also. But I'm just excited for, and SmackDown in general. We're gonna have the two, let's see which matches we have. We have Kevin Owens versus Elias, and Apollo Crews versus Andrade tonight for the King of the Ring. That means next week we'll have Ali versus Buddy Murphy and Chad Gable versus Shelton Benjamin. And then also this tonight is announced Daniel Bryan versus Buddy Murphy. Like week after week of Buddy Murphy killer matches we're in store for. I'm super excited for that. So I'm sure they announced some other stuff for SmackDown as well. But that's what I'm looking forward to, the main things that they announced, and 205 Live, like I said. So stay tuned for my episode about all of that. And let me know what you thought about this week's Monday Night Raw by tweeting me at TIW Podcast. Go to TIWpodcast.com for more reviews. If you enjoyed this episode or anything else on the site, please share some links with your friends. Subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, wherever you like to listen. Stay safe out there in all the infinite multiverses. So I can see you next time here on TIW Podcast. Bye.